Mary Sue Mavuika. Now, why did I say that? I'm going to tell you here, but let's get one thing straight. I appreciate all of you being like, you need to go watch these lore creators because they're going to explain this to you. One, I'm a Harvard educated attorney. I don't need anyone to explain their thoughts on something. I read and consume this and I form my own opinions, and then I go look at what the other content creators and community members are saying, and I develop my own opinion. I highly encourage some of y'all to do the same because it's really, really so much more fun to engage with Genshin and with its lore if you're kind of consuming it and coming to your own conclusions and then comparing and discussing and transforming those through speaking with the community. That's the whole reason I started doing Genshin lore on this app. With that out of the way, why did I say Mavuika is a Mary Sue? One, we need to talk about what term we're using. There, I recognize, are two different definitions of a Mary Sue. There's the colloquial definition that's used, and then there's the literary definition. I'm talking about the literary definition. And that is a fictional character, usually a younger woman, who is portrayed as having no weaknesses and being free of character flaws. Now, what is a character flaw? And I think this is a point that we're all missing. Being extremely self-sacrificing and not caring about yourself, if it does not harm you in the long run, if you do not have to face that as a flaw and overcome it, isn't really a flaw. It's just a personality trait that lends to being a Mary Sue. At no point during the Natlan Archon quest does Mavuika have to confront her self-sacrificing behavior as wrong, as a flaw that she needs to overcome to get to the real answer or the real solution. And at no point do the decisions Mavuika makes cause her to internally analyze what she is doing is wrong, or to say oh, I have taken a path that is not correct because of my internal biases and my things that my character is based off of, and I need to shift or grow to overcome these flaws. Mavuika never makes a wrong decision in the entirety of the Archon quest. She makes missteps, but there is never true actual consequences that cause her to reevaluate her personal character, to reevaluate the choices she has made. Even during the war, during the fucking eternal hot air balloon, she is very the plan is proceeding and these sacrifices are horrible. I feel so bad. I wish they weren't necessary, but this is the path. It's very much giving Farina if she had said Poisson was unavoidable and it's part of our goal to overcoming the prophecies. We just had to go through this. And that sounds kind of weird taken out of context, right? And this is the reason that A from Inazuma doesn't really fall into this, because she actually in her second story quest, and we don't have Mavuika's second story quest yet, so I just can't comment on that. She has to literally fight with herself and understand that her interpretation of eternity was wrong and that her actions have had consequences she did not intend, and come to terms with that internal character struggle. We just don't see anything like that from Mavuika. And there is a particular type of Mary Sue character where everything you do is perfect for the first time. And it wasn't until Mavuika's story quest where I was okay, because one, who says I have no hobbies other than bettering myself? That's what I love to do. Give yourself, I don't know, even Ayato, the most bland piece of cardboard man in this game, to me, this is my opinion. I don't love Ayato. He's really pretty though. Likes to drink shitty drinks. Mavuika, what do you like to do that is not perfect? And I'm picking up painting, and the first painting you ever make, according to what we know in your story quest, is a perfect from memory recreation of a photograph you don't even have anymore. Girl, be fucking for real. I'm sorry, this aggravates me because I want to see failure. One of the really interesting things about how Genshin interprets gods is that they are not perfect. And I do think this could have been a really interesting opportunity to compare gods who are imperfect with humanity that always seeks perfection. Because Farina did this. And this could have also been a really interesting moment to compare Farina, who was another human archon and did everything on her own, and to have Mavuika be like a literary foil to that and be the human archon who also seeks perfection, but through no one fights alone and through I don't keep secrets. But that was set up, it just wasn't fully explored. And this kind of brings me to my main issue on Natlan. I was disappointed on Natlan because I'm Native American and I really did not like the representation. I would have probably C6 Mavuika if she had better representation. I had been planning on it for a long time, but I was like, I'm not C6ing a white archon, and I'm not. Fuck that. 2, I enjoyed Natlan. I enjoyed the exploration. Ojka Natlan, I have a series on it. I really enjoyed that. There are certain parts, I'm still going through all the lore. One thing is like the lore has been so intense in this update. I don't think it's sustainable to like speak on everything anymore. It's just been overwhelming the amount of lore that's been poured out since 5.0. But in that vein, I can also look at Natlan as a written piece, as someone who wants to be an author one day, as someone who loves to write, and be like, there are payoffs and rewards that were not carried through. There are promises that Genshin has kind of made to its audience with the story structure and the way that it is crafted. And if you want to talk about promises in literature, Brandon Sanderson is literally airing his 2025 writing class, and his second lecture, amazing advice on what a promise to in a story is. And that is kind of what I'm talking about. If Genshin has kind of made this promise to the fans that the traveler visits a nation, and what he does in that nation kind of impacts or changes the characters, especially the archon. And it's almost like this is theory territory. It is my theory that we're kind of converting them to our cause, and we'll have like a big standoff towards the end of the game. We're all turning against the heavenly principles, what have you. But like when you get, and each archon has had significant development, except maybe Venti, but he also hasn't had a second story quest, and we're not done there. And Zhongli kind of had his development centuries ago, but has made this decision about taking a step back. But we still get to see him change and transform, even in this most recent Lantern Rite. We kind of see how his attachment to humanity has changed, and how he is becoming more and more involved in his people's lives, which is what he wanted, but that is development that has occurred. A's development is easy. She's a completely different archon. So is Nahida, and so is Farina, even though Farina is no longer the Hydro archon. I can honestly say I don't really see how interacting with the Traveler or finishing the Natlan archon quest has changed Mavuika's character from the 5.0 version. I think she has gone through hardships. I think she has really struggled, but being depressed and cheering up immediately is not, or like as soon as you have one conversation, is not the same as confronting a true internal character flaw. But the term Mary Sue is like literally applies to unrealistically capable heroines. And Mavuika, in my interpretation, when I'm playing this quest, I'm like, yeah, she kind of fits that. She doesn't have to fit that for you. And I encourage you to think critically and to consume this lore and to ask yourself questions about, why was this character developed in this way? What was the purpose? Do I like her development? Do I like how this character was portrayed? Because we don't have to agree, but can we at least have civil conversation? If you like this, like and follow for more Genshin lore. If you don't, scroll and don't be an asshole.